Prague. It's a place where every building is beautiful.
Prague was the only capital city in Central Europe that actually didn't get bombed during all of the wars of the last century. Most of the buildings, if not all of them, are actually original. You'll notice that the city is absolutely beautiful with so many varying types of architecture. This is really good. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Delnik? Tastes good.
One of my favorite things about churches here in Prague is that they are mostly used as concert halls.
A church is such a beautiful place to have a concert because you have the beautiful decor and architecture, the beautiful stained glass windows, plus the excellent acoustics that churches typically have. The Church of St. Nicholas. It was built in a Baroque architectural style. It was originally a Catholic church, but it's now a Hussite church. It's a really popular place for concerts. They don't have poop bags. I wouldn't follow them.
This is St. James Church. It has one of the most impressive organs I've ever seen.
The weather here in Prague is exceptional today. Beautiful sunny day, it's in the 60s. It'll be perfect for walking around.
So this is the powder tower. They named it as such because back in the day they used to put gunpowder in there. It's one of the main things to see in Prague. This guy is supposedly Sigmund Freud and he's hanging on for dear life.
We're walking on Wenceslas Square right now, which is an area that has a lot of shops and restaurants and little cafes. The Charles Bridge is one of Prague's most defining landmarks. It's a beautiful bridge, there's statues on it, and you can see a big tower right behind me right at the beginning. We're going to take a walk on it. Let's go. We're on the Charles Bridge now, and there are statues of saints on either side of the bridge. Originally, there was actually just a crucifixion scene, but in the 17th and 18th centuries, when the Catholic Habsburgs ruled, they put in all of these other beautiful statues. The faces of the saints are actually very, very expressive. One of the reasons that the statues were chosen to be saints is that the Habsburg Catholics wanted the statues to be looking over all of the townspeople, and that way they could inspire them and watch over them. Now, most of the statues actually are now just replicas. About half of them are in museums. That way they can be kept safe.
Charles Bridge, awesome.
So now we're walking into a part of Prague called the Little Quarter. The Little Quarter is right at the end of the Charles Bridge, and it's at the bottom of Castle Hill. And this used to be a town of beautiful gardens and palaces.
Look at how beautiful every building is. Some buildings are Gothic, some buildings are Baroque, some buildings are a mixture of the two.
Down every road, every side street, there's a beautiful building at the end of it.
We're gonna go in the St. Nicholas Cathedral, and this one is built in the Baroque style.
We're in the Church of St. Nicholas in Prague's Little Quarter. It was built in the 1700s in the beautiful ornate Baroque style. It's probably one of the most beautiful churches that I have ever seen.
Castle. It's a little bit high up, so
It's a lot of stairs to get there.
all those hours at the gym may be paying off. I hope that these stairs lead us to where we need to go,
I sure hope so.
because the GPS didn't specify stairs. The view is totally worth it. We made it up Prague Castle, and behind me is St. Vitus Cathedral.
St. Vitus Cathedral is in the very center of the castle complex, and it's where Czech kings have been both crowned and buried.
Very Gothic.
The Gothic architecture is so elaborate and ornate. St. Vitus Cathedral is a Roman Catholic cathedral, and it's also the Czech national church.
Wow. We're in the old royal palace.
The palace building dates back to the 12th century. One of the most impressive aspects is the Vladislav Hall, which is a 200-foot-long, huge room like you see behind me. A lot of things went on here. Jousts went on here. There were also marketplaces set up. Starting in the 1500s, the nobility would actually come in here into Vladislav Hall to elect their king. Even into the late 1990s, people actually still did that and came to elect the president here.
We're about to enter the Basilica of St. George. Let's check it out.
The Basilica at St. George is actually the oldest structure in Prague Castle area. It actually dates back to the 12th century and was the place where kings were buried before St. Vitus Cathedral was built. So some of the earliest remains of Czech kings actually were buried here. This street is called the Golden Lane because it was thought that in medieval times goldsmiths actually lived here and worked here. Castle servants lived in these tiny, colorful old houses. Nowadays, there are different displays in the houses showing different things you would see in medieval times. There's a display showing things regarding alchemy, different types of clothing, armor, and even medieval torture devices. I guess this was a house back in the day.
So above the Golden Lane, this is a little tunnel there. It's pretty cool because you see all these armor uniforms.
That's the old-time version of those ab t-shirts, instant abs.
So this is the armor for the not so athletic.
After taking a tour of Prague Castle, we decided to come down and walk around a bit, and we came upon the Hohenstein Palace Gardens. A beautiful garden with the statue of Hercules right in the center of the fountain behind me.
Wow, it's a very nice garden. Behind me is a controversial statue. It's a statue of two men pissing, and then at the bottom it's actually a map of the Czech Republic, which is weird.
Some pretty weird baby statues. Their faces have something funky going on. I'm not really sure what's happening.
So this is the world's narrowest alley, and there's that traffic light that tells you if you can go or not. So we're going in. And that was actually a street. Behind us is the dancing house. It's one of the unique buildings of Prague. This is a sculpture of Kafka, who's a famous writer. It's mesmerizing. You can watch it for hours.
It looks like it moves differently every time.
Behind me is Café Louvre, and they say that Albert Einstein back in the day used to come here. We just rode the funicular up to see Petrin Hill, which is basically a big garden with hiking trails. And we are on our way to check out Strahov Library. The Strahov Library is home of 1,500 first edition books and overall 200,000 books. If I had a room like this at home, I would totally read more. We're about to go on a dinner cruise. It's gonna also include dinner.
Dinner cruises usually do include dinner. Oh, very nice.
We're gonna get to see all of the buildings and bridges by night.
This is the map for our dinner cruise. So we will go past all of these places. Try local cuisine, but you really want to try a bunch of things and you might not like something, it's good to go to a buffet because then you can get a little bit of everything. Charles Bridge is so picturesque at night. It's lit up pretty well. It's nice to see Prague Castle at night too because it's all lit up and we have a good view of it here from the bridge. Prague is beautiful and it feels pretty safe too. I don't feel, unsafe walking around at night. It's 9:59.
Behind me is the astronomical clock, and not only it's a clock, but it shows you the location of the sun and moon, zodiac sign, time of the year, the time of sunrise and sunset. Pretty impressive stuff. Prague is beautiful. Train station in Prague. For those Egyptians in the audience, this is where Amri Diab shot the music video العالم الله قد ايه مش عارف ايه قلبي وروحي مش عارف ايه. It's a very tough choice picking a favorite building.
I really love the team.
This one?
Yeah,
but
I really love that one.
What about the regular buildings around the old town square?
That one is one of the pretty ones.
Yeah.
That one's really pretty, and then there's one across from it on the other side. That's really pretty too.
I think if I were to pick my favorite, I like this yellow one over there.
I like that one too.
Because
that's nice.
I think I'm a fan of Baroque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Baroque as well.
Basically, fat babies and angels.